Hello, this is my bio project and I did it on schizophrenia. Okay, so the causes and core symptoms. The causes of schizophrenia are actually not completely understood yet. However, it's believed that it's a result from multiple factors, including genetics, neurobiology, specifically the brain chemistry, and then environmental factors, which can include stress, malnutrition, and then also heavy uh, substance abuse. Some core symptoms. There's actually three types. There's positive, which adds on to a person's experiences of schizophrenia, such as hallucinations and delusions, also disorganized thinking or disorganized behavior. There's also negative symptoms, which can take away from a person's experiences, such as avalation and emotional blunting. And finally, there is cognitive symptoms which affect the brain, such as memory and attention deficits and impaired executive functioning. Okay, so what is involved? There are actually multiple signaling pathways that can lead to schizophrenia. However, the greatest contributor to schizophrenia is probably dopamine signaling pathways, or yeah, which can create positive symptoms, negative symptoms, and cognitive symptoms. Not all signaling pathways actually do that. Some only uh, lead to positive symptoms, while others also lead to negative or cognitive symptoms. There are actually like a lot of non-functional proteins that are involved in schizophrenia, but the two greatest contributors are probably DISC1 and NRG1. What happens is that these non-functional proteins create abnormalities, and these abnormalities can cause schizophrenia, basically. Correct mechanisms. And in brains that function normally, there is neurotransmitter regulation, more specifically dopamine regulation and glutamate regulation. So when dopamine is balanced and it is regulated correctly, it can lead to appropriate signaling for motivation and emotional processing. And when glutamate is balanced, it makes sure that the prefrontal cortex and other regions of the brain are functional, and the regulation is also important for memory and brain cognition. In regular brains, the each region of the brain should be properly connected, allowing for seamless communication compared to brains with schizophrenia, which aren't properly connected. Incorrect mechanisms. In brains that have schizophrenia, the neurotransmitter levels are going to be not regulated. So, dopamine levels are going to be excessive, causing positive symptoms like hallucinations and delusions. And because of the glutamate hypofunction, and the decreased glutamate activity, uh, it's gonna it's gonna cause negative symptoms and cognitive symptoms as well. But because of schizophrenia, there is gonna be abnormal brain development. The brain regions, as said before, are not gonna be connected either. And then there is also gonna be molecular abnormalities because of schizophrenia. As you can see in the photo to the right, brains with schizophrenia have a lower protein density level compared to a healthy brain, which has a very high density level. The current direction of research less funding. So right now they're targeting specific brain proteins in order to um, mitigate the damage that schizophrenia can have on the brain rather than trying to prevent it or cure it, which right now isn't possible. And currently they are researching this new drug they created called Cobenfy, which targets receptors in the brain, and these receptors are indirectly influencing dopamine regulation, which does help addressing positive symptoms. And currently funding for schizophrenia research is being funded from like government agencies like the EU, pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, private foundations such like and like academies like Harvard, and then crowdfunding. Okay, the likelihood of inheriting slash possessing a disease. So the genetic risk for schizophrenia is probably around 80%, and but there is still a 20% environmental factor that does play into schizophrenia. Nearly 1 in 300 people in the entire world have schizophrenia, and as you can see on the graph on the right, these are the chances of getting schizophrenia if you are related to anybody. In the overall population, there's a 1% chance of schizophrenia. So schizophrenia's mode of inheritance is that it's a polygenic disorder, meaning that it has multiple genes contributing to its risk, not just one, and it doesn't adhere to a typical Mendelian inheritance pattern. This is because it involves multiple genes, but not only genes. The also the environment influences it. So that is why it is classified as a complex polygenic disorder. Thank you for watching.